Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another SLG Meetup. Your host Álvaro Núñez to bring you another interesting and successful guest. Today we have not other than the icon in luxury real estate himself, Daniel Daggers. He is the star of the famous Netflix show Buying London, and he has sold over $5 billion, pounds actually, in real estate in his career. And he's known for being Mr. Superprime because he focuses on selling some of the most luxurious and incredible homes in the UK. And he's the founder of DDRE. He has his own team and what they consider the best agents in the country. So very excited to have him here with us today to talk about how he has disrupted and positioned himself among the elite so that the rich and famous go to him to buy the Superprime real estate. There he is. What's going on, Danny? How you doing?
I'm good, brother. How you doing?
Amazing. Can't complain. I'm very excited because we're gonna have an amazing conversation. And look, I gotta say that what you've done over your career, I will say, is just incredible. And now you have your show Buying London. You've sold some of the most incredible properties in the UK. I mean, anybody that is not familiar with the show or with UK's super prime real estate, they might not have seen, but those that we know about real estate, we know about you, Mr. Superprime. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, man. I appreciate it. That's such a kind introduction. I'm pleased that I've qualified to be on the show. You've had such heavy weights, so
of
I'm
course.
delighted.
Well, how is the life now? I mean, you've been a successful real estate broker already for many years. I mean, you've sold over £5 billion worth of real estate. And now, recently, you've launched the show on Netflix, Buying London. Has that impacted your career?
Yeah, I mean, it's had an impact. If you look at the numbers, it's had an impact. Okay, so we meet more clients, we meet more potential customers. It just creates a much more, you've got a deeper penetration through marketing, and I'm more of a recognizable face. And in the super prime sector of the market, where you've got a lot of ultra high net worths that are nervous about letting new people into their world, being a recognizable face is really valuable. And Netflix gives you that opportunity, but globally, not just locally. So yeah, it's been great. It's hard work, it's a lot of commitment, but it's been great.
You made a great point, because Netflix is just amplifying your brand and your reach. So those international buyers or international potential sellers that might have real estate also in the UK might go towards you. And that's fantastic. But I gotta say, what is going on? Why Mr. Superprime? How do you build that brand for yourself?
So I've been producing content on social media for about 10 years now. And in my previous job, before I set up my own business, I was very senior around sort of private office in a big organization. And I was only dealing in what we call the super prime market, which is north of $10 million or £10 million. And I was so integrated in the marketplace, and that's all I was doing, that I nicknamed myself, because I knew that there was going to be a correlation of people searching online. And I reckon that it's going to give a better chance for me to touch them in a way, for them to find me, and for me to sort of staple my position in the marketplace. So it was a big brand pushing exercise at the time, which got a lot of people's tongues wagging. They weren't sure. Everyone was talking about egotist, you know, he's such an egotist and all this sort of stuff. They didn't realize that this was just a brand play, a personal brand play. But that's how it happened.
It's very clever, and we have some similarities on that, because SLG, Super Luxury Group, it kind of was born with the same idea.
Sure.
Just adding the group side of it to kind of remove that ego side and just kind of keep it all as a group. But it was the same concept, because if you're looking at the keyword search, what are people actually searching within that niche, right? And if you add those different terms, it positions yourself as just a unique, I will say, competitor or brokerage that people go towards. So in your case, it was very smart, and you stay consistent, which is what matters, because a lot of people start something and they kind of divert. You kind of decided to go into that super prime, and then that's what you've been showcasing, that's what you've been selling, that's what people are knowing you for. How do you keep on elevating and pushing that envelope, because every time I see some of the properties that you're showcasing and selling and listing, I'm like, wow, these properties, they just keep getting better. It's just because the market overall in London is getting better, or you are getting better on finding those properties?
No. The market in London has been depressed for a while now,
Let's
right?
be honest there, right?
Let's be honest. No,
honest.
let's call a spade a spade.
Yeah.
The reason it's really interesting, your question, because previously when I was working in a firm, and a lot of brokers, if they're following you, they're going to appreciate this. But when you're working in a firm that sort of, you don't really need to think about how you build the corporate brand. You just think about building your own brand.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as we started to build the business, we had to run that in tandem. We had to build a super prime brokerage whilst maintaining my personal brand. And that in unison should happen very easily, but there's just a lot of work involved, so it's tricky. Look, London is one of the most expensive cities in the world. The difficulty we have that you guys don't have in the US predominantly, or in the south of France, is that you've got this sort of beautiful seascape, you've got amazing, it's clouds, and it looks like the Simpsons, the start of the Simpsons. You know, it's beautiful and it's sunny and everyone's looking sexy and cool. And here, it's a little bit grey at the moment. Yeah, and our real estate in many instances is vertical, whereas in Miami, California, and other parts of the world, it's much more lateral, which is just easier to film, and it's probably more aspirational. But London is just an amazing brand, and so our business now is, I think our average transaction is somewhere in the region of 11 million sterling, so that's about $13 million is our average transaction.
How do you maintain success levels high while the economy or the market is going down?
You need to remain unbelievably consistent and keep very high bars for people. So culture as a business, because I can't just look after myself now, I have to look after the people that are working with me. Culture as a business is set by the principal, by me. And so if people are seeing that I'm working hard, I'm remaining consistent, I'm doing what I'm asking everyone else to do, and I'm leading by example, that's how you keep brand value. That's how you keep people persisting in excellence. And that's one way of doing it. The other way is just having a culture where people really feel that the next day is a day of opportunity, right?
Right.
And the thing about it is that when the market's depressed and there's like 60% volume down and all this sort of stuff, values are dropping, it can be a very negative atmosphere. But the way I like to look at it, and I posted it on LinkedIn, and you'll get this, like all these senior people, all the people that have been doing this for a long time, they're very successful. They've seen these difficult markets. And it's a bit like a rubber band, right? And when the market's good, everyone doesn't think there's a rubber band there. And when the market's bad, you take the rubber band and you pull it back and you keep pulling it and pull it and pulling and pulling it. And what it's doing is, as you're working through really shitty climates and really bad markets, you keep pulling that band back. And then when the market starts to improve, you fly past your competition. And so you have to see, it's a bit like playing Street Fighter. You know, after you're fighting somebody and then you get beat up a little bit and then you step back and then all of a sudden your bar of energy starts to increase. It's the same thing, just when the markets are depressed, you need to work harder, and then when the market turns, you rock it. Yeah.
Interesting. That's a great way to look at it. I'll keep that in mind. I mean, we all go through those moments, right, where the markets are shifting and the economy, and right now here in the US with the elections coming up, there's a lot of uncertainty. So it's interesting to see how your point of perspective is in the UK's market. I mean, London is very interesting because it's one of the most expensive cities in the world. It has some of the most prime real estate in the world. So the fact that you were mentioning about that lifestyle that sometimes is difficult to showcase in an exciting way, right? Because you're here in Miami and the luxury cars, the weather, the yacht, the water, like all this bling bling, and, you know,
the people
I
look
mean,
glamorous. The people look amazing. You see it. Everyone's like a 10 out of 10 in Miami.
well, you know, it's quite interesting to see that. But when it comes to London and the way that you're showcasing properties, do you focus mainly on the property or showcase the lifestyle that comes with a property?
Okay, so first of all, like the best way to build brand is to create beautiful content. Okay, so we don't really want to chase views, right? How many views we're getting and stuff like that. We don't really want to chase views. We want to build brand. The building brand is remaining consistent at delivering high produced content, okay? Because we're not trying to find buyers. We're trying to say to the world, listen, if you want to sell your property, this is a beautiful place to do it, okay? And then they'll come to you. When you talk about lifestyle, that's not the corporate brand that delivers the lifestyle. It's the individuals in our business. That's the Remy, who's 23 and dynamic and in technology and lives in North London and likes her community and goes to this members club. And then we've got Oliver, who's a dad of one and he's just interested in business and doing things, interested in his football club, proper football, not soccer. And he's the person who's creating the environment through his personal brand that really attracts people that likes the stuff that he likes. And so he then helps engage the market and offer that sort of inspiration around this is what you can get and this is what I think about it. Okay.
Right.
Because then his audience start to go, well, yeah, I think about it that way. And if I want to go and buy a very expensive home or rent it or sell it, he's the person that I really want to work with.
Gotcha.
So from that perspective, that's how we work as a business.
It makes sense. And you know, you're building on top of your brand to create that authority and their image, right? So that people want to work with you specifically. Yeah. Now, when it comes to acquiring leads, whether it's for a seller or a buyer, is that something that you're going mainly and heavily through social? Is that something that you're going networking in person, referral? What's your best approach to generate leads?
It depends on who you are, okay? So there is a sort of natural ecosystem where you should spend time where your customers are, right?
Got it.
So you can talk about it from a digital sphere, like me spending time with you, because the brokers around the world that follow you and like and respect you, that probably don't know anyone in London, now get the opportunity to meet me, and hopefully I come across really well. And they go, you know what, he's the kind of guy I want to put my eggs in that basket. He's a good guy and I really like him. Okay, so that's one thing. So now I'm in that digital sphere. And then I want to do the same thing when I'm tagging local destinations and going to the right places. The other way is by paper. So it's whether or not you're doing letter dropping or cards. The other way is pounding the streets and knocking on doors. And the other way is to meet people in person and be where your customers and clients are. So most of the people here in our industry in the UK are sat in offices during the day, waiting for the phone to ring. So we want to do the polar opposite. We want to go and meet our clients in places that they spend time in, the bar, the club, the members club, the gym, the Pilates studio, the yoga, the this and that. And that's where they go and create environments and create communities. It very much depends on the level of expertise and what the person really likes doing. Because if you're in a space where you're going to excel, so like let's say Rosie teaches yoga in her spare time. Right? So now she's got this group of people, 100 people that take yoga classes with Rosie, but they also know from her social channels that she works at our business.
Right.
So she's building that community herself. And everything is about community. Yeah. When you get to
such a powerful word, community.
Everything's about community. When you get to the top end of the market, like this, you won't ever see me selling anything. Like I'm not selling my service. Everything is about a voice of recommendation and who it is that is recommending you. And because we're all entrepreneurs, I tend to spend a lot of time not with CEOs of banks and so on and so on. I'll tend to spend time with entrepreneurs who are building other businesses in the UK and go, you know what, he's going through the same struggle we are. I like him, I respect him. He's choosing to go down the same avenue I am. And therefore, I'm going to spend some time with him and give him business. And that's how the ecosystem works, through professional networks and friends and all that sort of stuff.
I love that storyline. I mean, you're building your brand, you're positioning yourself wherever you want to be in that specific niche. You're being proactive because whoever is waiting for a business to come their way, they're going to be waiting a long time. So you mentioned about being proactive and finding different ways on how you can start generating those leads and building those relationships. But there's something even more important towards the end of that staircase, which is actually delivering value, because that's the only way that people will start referring you back to more business. So, because the question here is, how do you maintain those relationships? And I guess we're answering that question alone already by providing value. How do you stay consistent?
No, it's not just about providing value. So after Netflix, a very, very, very influential technologist reached out to me in DM. Okay, I won't say who he is, but He is unbelievably senior. And he said, I love what you're doing. I saw the show. I've seen you on socials. I've seen your website. I've seen your business. I'd love to have lunch with you. So I had lunch with him, and he asked me like, what's my passion? Like, what am I doing? They're a massive organization. The guys have got access to billions for investment. And he said to me, what is your business? I said, I'm in the communications business. He or she that communicates better, further, and faster than anyone else wins. Okay. And he said, okay, that's interesting. And he said, explain further. And I start talking to him about trust equity and how you create trust with people, what is really valuable, whether or not you speak to your client at midday or you speak to them at 8 p.m. Is there a difference in value? There is. If you call your client at 12 o'clock, they're expecting you to call them. Like, that's easy. If you call them at 8 p.m. at night, there's additional value that's created. And there's these all soft considerations as to why you do certain things. But when he said to me, how do you maintain relationships? Because all the technologists want to be ahead of the game and they want to find the best investments. And by to achieve that, they need to stay in touch with as many people as possible, right? So they use, I'm not going to tell you how they do this, but they use technology to do this through channels that we work on, like Instagram and LinkedIn and other platforms. I won't say exactly what they do because it wouldn't be fair. And then he said to me, how do you do it? And I said to him, there's no point creating forms of communication. You have to create momentum in communication, right?
Interesting.
So how does that work? So the way, in my eyes, the way it works is like, I'm a massive football fan, okay? We'll say soccer just for everyone in the US, okay? And my team is Arsenal. Now, what's really interesting is that if I know a couple of ultra high net worths or people that I want to do business with are big Arsenal fans and they go to the game every week, and I choose to arrange to meet them every time we have a game, there's a natural born moment of momentum because I'm going to see them 2 days a week all the time.
Yeah.
Right? I don't have to DM them. I don't have to put them in a WhatsApp group. I don't have to email them, right? It's just a natural form of us to communicate. And you can do that with loads of things. It can be yoga. It can be Pilates. It could be backgammon, going to backgammon. Like, we've met ultra high net worths like you cannot imagine at self-improvement workshops and all this sort of stuff. But the beautiful thing about them is not the fact that you're doing it, it's the fact that you create momentum with people.
I like
And that's
like
how
that.
and that's how you keep relationships strong.
Very interesting the way that you're looking at it. I mean, I'm definitely going to start applying some of those golden nuggets. It's a great concept, and it's very easy when you start associating people within these boxes to create momentum. So lifestyle as interest, right? Like when you share, we're in the people's business. I mean, that's what differentiates you from anybody that is starting off and just
100%.
heavily going on social. You're
And
focusing on the people.
anyone who says to me, I love real estate, I'm like, go and become an interior designer
Yeah, exactly. Architect.
or an architect.
Yeah.
Like, if you love people, this is the job you need to be in.
I love that. Now, of course, now we see you selling all these incredible properties, Superprime, the primest, but it has not been always that easy. I mean, you had a long journey to get there. So what would you say has been one of your turning points in that career?
Look, when I first sold my first $100 million home, it put me in a stratosphere where people are like, wow, like, that's amazing. You're in the 0.0001%. And I've done it a couple of times since. So, like, there's very few people that have done that. And you really do need to have skill and a very strong mentality to do that, not just once, but multiple times. Look, it's going to be the most boring thing that everyone here is going to hear from me, okay? Because I'm not really a boring person, but the most boring thing I'm going to say is that consistency creates distance, okay? And what I mean by that is one person can come into this industry, do a big deal, and then evaporate and never do any business again, right? Or do very little business moving forward. And everyone's going to know that. But it's the people that are really consistent that compounds in value, and then you become much further away than your competition. So much so they can't even see them because you're in a different stratosphere. So I would say that compounding value of consistency is insane, but you don't reap the rewards of it until you've done it, right?
It's so powerful. I mean, consistency creates distance. I'm gonna use that one. I'll quote you on that one, but it's definitely the guy that wins is not the fastest, is the one that reduces the speed the least. So if I can slow the least, I'm gonna still keep moving forward. And this is applying to what you're saying. It's like, how can I be consistent and stay over and over and create the momentum that you just recently talked about? So very good point. And look, if we go back to this, I just want to ask you, if you had to start over or ask your or tell your younger self a piece of advice, would you have changed anything?
When I started as an agent, it was in 1997. The world has changed.
Yes, a
Right?
lot.
It's really fucking changed. So could I go and teach myself my experiences that I had years ago that may be less relevant now? I don't think there's a point. I think that we have to, the best thing about my world, so I'm thinking about it, with my world right now is that my experience is meeting new opportunity. So I have that benefit. So if I was going to do anything now, if I was a young person attacking markets, the thing that I would spend most of my time on is my personal brand. I would leverage my personal brand. And often people are going to think, okay, that's all about content. It's about content, but your personal brand is what you wear, what you go to, where you spend your time, who you spend your time with, what you talk about, what interests you, what you engage with. Do you stay at home and play Call of Duty every night instead of going out and meeting people? How's your reputation in the market or just with people in general? How do you build credibility in a marketplace? That is your personal brand as well as creating content. And that's what I'd really think about now, because the business that we're building and what everyone is really getting to is that information is becoming democratized, right? So the information doesn't lose all its value. Okay, stay with me on this. So we know that the information around real estate, like the size of properties, which way it faces, how big it is, the price, is democratized. More and more people can find out that information than ever before.
True.
But the value of that information doesn't disappear. It just goes somewhere else. And so the piece of advice for everybody is that value doesn't disappear. It goes to the individual that is delivering the information.
That is true.
And
That is
therefore,
so true.
the person who is delivering that information and their personal brand creates additional value for themselves, right? So if Alvaro goes, I want to spend £10 million in London, okay? But I want to buy a deal. I want to make money out of this. I want to buy a deal. And he gets a phone call from Sarah Simpson from some unknown company. And she says, Alvaro, you have to buy this property. It's £10 million. It's really cheap. And you go, okay, great, but I don't know this Sarah Simpson. I've got no idea who she is. She's a random person who got, introduced to me from my gym instructor, okay? Or if Daniel Daggers calls up Alvaro and say, actually, this is a really good property and you need to think about buying it, all of a sudden you're going to consider that information far greater than the individual that you don't know or doesn't have a great personal brand in that segment. And that's what it's all about. That's it. That's the name of the game.
I love that. And a lot of people now are starting to cut up to the game of building their brands and providing that value through the information that is already out there. It's just how you grab what is out there, put it in your own unique tone, and just put it out to the world, right? So it's very important. And that's how you also become an outlier, by doing things that are a little bit uncommon, but still provide value. And that's why I follow your journey, and it's very admirable to see where you got. And look, I mean, this is going to be an interesting question because I ask this to all of our guests, but coming from you, I'm curious, what does luxury mean to you?
To me, comfort. Luxury means comfort to me.
I love that.
So to travel comfortably, to sleep comfortably, to do things in a comfortable way where I don't feel stressed or time poor, luxury means comfort to me.
I love that. So look, in order to reach that comfort, right, like that luxury status of lifestyle, you have had to go through a lot of stress, because real estate, for those that see the show or see everybody, winning and selling, there's like, oh my God, easy industry. But it's far from that. I mean, it's a lot of work, a lot of stress, a lot of sleepless nights.
Yeah.
So what is it that you do on an ongoing basis that helps you maintain that high level of energy or sanity or at least like clarity?
So it's funny you say that, because we have a young lady working with us at the moment. She's 17. She's doing a bit of work experience with us. And we were talking about failure.
Mm.
Okay. I've failed, which is what I said to you. I've failed more often than most people. I've also failed far greater and had millions of people see my failures. I'm okay with that. Because you see, if I consistently fail, I consistently learn. If I consistently learn, I will be more learned, i.e., smarter than most people, because I would have witnessed changes and witnessed things that other people haven't. And therefore, I'll have more knowledge and more understanding of certain situations, which allow me to move faster and deeper. And so that is like the crux of it. Never, ever, ever be ashamed to fail. Never.
Wow.
That's one thing. The other thing is, the person who never, ever, ever attacks an opportunity and therefore never fails is a loser. And then
Thank you for sharing that, because it is so true.
very true. It's very true. Everyone can sit in the stands and point fingers at everybody who isn't doing anything. It's the people that do things that I'm interested in. I'm not interested in the person who's got it easy. That person isn't adding any value, right? So
Right.
I want people who are out there challenging themselves all the time to come on the journey with me, because that's much more interesting and much more fun. And then
Oh, yeah.
finally, look, there are some people that aren't cut for this business, and they have to recognize that really early on. But if you can deal with your own emotions and how you think to yourself, yeah, that's half the battle won. And that's what I would say.
That is powerful. Great takeaways. I mean, I always ask what are some takeaways, but you just gave them right there. And I think it's so beautifully said. And what
Thank
you
you.
said, especially about failing more than anybody else, and that's what makes you learn more and grow more. It is so true, because a lot of people, they don't want to pass that stage of fear, because look, you fail because you're doing something that it's on the other side of that comfort, is that other side of,
Yeah.
hey, knowing that you can do it. Sometimes you gotta go and try things that are difficult, and that's where you fail. So I appreciate you sharing that, and I think that you're a source of inspiration and aspiration for many, not just real estate agents out there, but also just any professional out there that wants to reach a higher level of success. So I appreciate you being here with us today, and I know that there is a lot of exciting projects on the work for you. Anything else that you would like to share to wrap it up?
Not really. I would say to everyone that's watching, just believe in yourselves. Have insane belief in yourself.
That's right. And you might end up one day like Mr. Superprime. Danny, I appreciate you. By the way, if it gets too cold in London this upcoming month, just come over to Miami. We'll take care of you. There is
Thank you,
also some
brother.
Superprime here.
There is, and it's beautiful there.
Yeah, well, I'll take you flying. How about that on the helicopter?
Oh my God. I hope
Yeah.
it's a twin engine. I hope it's a twin engine. That's all I'm
Nah,
saying.
nah, we don't need that. It's too easy then. We want to keep it exciting. Hopefully, we don't fail on that one. Because if you have
No,
an
please
engine
don't fail on
failure,
that one. That's dangerous, dude.
those are not the engine failures or the failures you want to have. Because then you don't learn much. Oh, but all good, brother. Well, I appreciate you. I can't wait to see you, whether it's in London or here in the States. And wishing you the best.
Thank you, brother. You too. Take care,
Yeah.
yeah?
Yeah. Bye bye.